Goodman and Hummel podcast, and we got Robbie Hummel.
I'd known you since you were a kid.
I could blow my knee out, both knees, and still kick your ass.
We're trying to find the Robbie Hummel statue.
I wanted to kill you.
All right, welcome back. Another episode of the Goodman and Hummel podcast. Could be the final episode. I don't know. Are we calling it or no? Is this the final episode?
I don't know. We're gonna see how negotiations go this summer. I'm not happy though. I'm not happy.
This is all a ploy. Is this what you're trying to tell me? This is all a ploy. This is like when kids go in the portal right now.
No, I'll tell you what this is. This is when, and I think a lot of people can relate with this, when you hate your boss. This is very relatable, I think. That's what this is. That's what this is.
Do you hate Doster or you hate I'm trying to figure out which one of
you know what? Doster did one of the most savage things I've ever seen at the Final Four.
What?
I was walking back. It was halftime, I think, of one of the games on Saturday. And he had, first of all, the line for the media pizza was like a mile long. It was like people hadn't eaten in days. And I see Rob Doster. I'm walking back. He has 5 slices of pizza on one plate.
Ridiculous.
I was like, dude, first of all, let everybody else have some,
right? Because
who knows how many pizzas they ordered.
Agreed.
And 5? Jeez, dude.
Well, and 5. Then to make it worse,
please finish because I know what you're going to say.
I mean, he's sitting next to a seat that is held open in memorial of John Feinstein, the great writer. And what does he do? He proceeds to completely put the pizza, his drinks, everything all over Feinstein's seat. Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? Like, have some respect.
I told him, I go, Rob,
disgusting.
That's one of the fattest things I've ever seen anybody do right there. 5 slices. No, did he eat all day?
I don't know. You know, some of the media people, they see free food and they just go bananas. It's crazy. I've never been one of those. In fact, most of the time, I really don't even eat much. I usually try to eat beforehand because you never know what you're going to get. But
and I think just eating late is bad anyway. The later you wait, the worse off it is for you. But.
Well, Doster, after Monday night's title game, we'll get to the title game here soon. So we go back and we're walking back from the arena, and we wanted food at that point. So we go in and we wanted a couple beers, whatever. So we go into I think it was a media hotel, the Hyatt or one of those.
Yeah, that was a media hotel. Yep.
So we go in there, they're still serving. So we go and he's like, what do you want? I'm like, yeah, we'll get a couple pizzas, small pizzas, whatever. And we proceed to polish off 2 pizzas. They're small, and he orders another one, a third pizza.
So how many pizzas did Doster have at the Final Four?
I think he had, after the Monday night game, he had a pizza and a half. I didn't have another slice of the third pizza. I think he had a pizza and a half. So if you're wondering why Dustin needs to hit the gym after this.
Because he had 4 pizzas during 3 nights at the Final Four.
Absolutely insane. As you can tell, I'm in tip-top shape.
All right, let's get to it. Let's go ahead.
We need to get to it. I mean, what?
I knew it was coming. I was going to let you have your flowers. I was going to let you have it. I've had so many people text me, how did the game go? And I've just not responded.
Yeah, I don't blame you. After your performance, I wouldn't respond either. You went, okay, so let's set this up, first of all. You saw me. I picked you up at your hotel in an Uber. And the first look at this
might have been a genius ploy because I when I saw how hungover you were, I was like, I think Jeff might throw up on the court. Yeah. You could clearly tell that you had a big night and had drank too much. But I don't know.
What happened, Rob?
Maybe my racket was bad.
What happened, Rob?
I did not play well. I did not.
Oh, we're talking up to I didn't play well. Now,
yeah, I didn't.
When did you realize you were in trouble? When did you realize? At what point?
I don't know. I don't know when I realized. I don't recall. What is it, like a press conference
No,
here? When did you realize when you're in trouble? I don't know, but I just did not. I didn't hit the ball well. When I tried to hit the ball hard, I hit it long. I don't know. And honestly, I will say you hit the ball really hard, which you're like the power player of like the John Daly of pickleball. You hit the ball as hard as you can, and sometimes it goes out, but you honestly hit a lot of them in. I don't know. I don't have any. I
no excuses.
you
Right?
know what
No,
was the worst part of this though was
go ahead.
Friday or Saturday at the Final Four as I'm doing the games, which was awesome. Doing the games is great. I had more coaches be like, "How the fuck could you lose to this guy?" Like Mark Few was disgusted with me,
Well, I mean,
and I'm disgusted with me too. So I don't know, but
I mean, we went out there the first matchup. We tried to set it up even. It was the four of us that played were me, you, Scott Drew, and Bill Greer, assistant coach at Colorado, who had been a head coach at San
and
Diego.
Bill is a good player, and Scott is a tennis player from back in the day. So
I mean, you were clearly the worst player on the court. On this day.
I played like the worst player on that day. I played like the worst player. I understand. I can't even tell you though. I played one other time this year and I played so well. But I had one of my dad's like good rackets. So maybe that was the difference.
Here we go.
Maybe that was the difference.
When you told Glenn Hummel, when you told your dad what happened, because I know you told them beforehand, I'm going to go out and I'm going to kick Jeff's ass. I'm going to kick his ass. And instead, the first matchup was me and Bill Greer, who's 60 years old, by the way.
But Bill plays a lot. He is the best player by far. He's good.
I don't think he's the best player by far, but okay.
I do. I think he's got shots that none of the other three could hit because he plays in it. Well, that means he's the best player by far.
No, I mean, I still think
think you are?
I think if I play Bill Greer in singles, I would beat him. Yes.
No,
Yes.
you would not.
Absolutely.
No chance.
Absolutely.
No chance.
All right,
No chance.
what was my record on the day?
I don't know. I
5 and
blocked
1.
this day out.
5 and 1.
This day from my memory.
What was Bill Greer's record? 4 and 2.
Well, he had to play with me. The worst.
What was your
player,
record?
So
What was your record?
we won one set.
You were 1 and 5. You won one game.
All right, can we talk about the Final Four?
No, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. I mean, the best part was you had like you're 6'8", right? You're 6'8". You had like 4 slams that I just popped up to you. Me and Scott, you're popped up to you.
I was really bad with overhead slams.
You converted like one.
I was batting like 125 on these. I don't know. I have no idea why. I didn't show up. I'm disappointed.
So what are you going to do in the offseason to change this?
Well, I don't know if I'll talk to you again after this podcast, so I don't know if it matters, but I'm going to grind. I will be better for this. This is going to fuel me.
It should fuel you. I mean, that's part of your problem is you just go out there and golf every day.
For those of the listeners that watch the Masters, this was a Rory McIlroy like moment for me at the Final Four, where I'm going to take this totally horrific moment, one of the lowest points in my life, and I'm going to be better for it eventually. But I don't know if I'm ever going to speak to you again after this. So maybe.
I just think there's got to be something in you right now that says like either you should retire. I mean, maybe you should just call it quits and never play pickleball again.
The thing is, I've played twice in the last like 2.5 years. So retiring really wouldn't affect me. It's not like retiring from golf, which I played a lot. Or if you were to say, "Oh God, no.
oh boy, we have."
Well, now we can get we can really get a third party's assessment of the play.
We can get a witness.
Hey, all I know is you got that nice sunshine and there you go. There's what we got behind us in Baylor, baby. Where's the football stadium? There we go. Hey, pickleball court is ready. Let's go. Let's go.
I think Hummel's retiring. I think he's called it a career.
Up. No, I'm not. I'm
not.
Hey,
Robbie, me and you, I hate to say it, but like we were really, really impressed with Jeff Goodman.
I mean,
Jeff has been like practicing. My man came out with an on the circuit serve.
Yeah,
Like, I
he
don't
hits
know
it
what's
hard.
been going on, but yeah, real.
Yeah, I know. I really thought he was going to be terrible. I thought
Yeah,
Jeff was
I did
bad at all
too.
sports. I really did. I
Why?
really did.
Why does everybody think I was going to suck?
Well, look at you. Look at what just look at your body.
What
I
do
thought
you
you were
mean?
out of shape. I thought you weren't good. You were better than I
I
thought.
was out of shape, but I still kicked your ass.
Yeah,
That's the sad part.
Hey, you didn't know this, Jeff. We were actually trying to hit it pretty far to try to wear you out to go get the ball. You know, it didn't work. My man gave us the business.
He did.
It was a tough
And
go.
Scott, he's going to talk about it for literally the next 10 years.
That's
I think.
true.
Maybe more.
That is
Maybe
true.
more.
The best part of it, Scott, the best part was all the people I told to go up to Hummel before Saturday's games, go up to him and ask him how he did in pickleball. I think Kevin Kugler, even mentioned this on their
He mentioned
podcast.
it on air. Yes,
On air.
For anyone that was listening, he did say it, which I hate.
Hey, Robbie, the hard part for me and you, since we probably haven't played in a year, how sore were you the next day?
I wasn't bad sore. My ego was sore.
Your ego is sore.
That's where my soreness occurred. I haven't played a lot, but man, and you know what? I just can't get over how disappointed Mark Few was in me.
Yeah.
He truly was like a disappointed father as we spoke at Saturday night. He
So was
not
Scott.
happy.
Scott was disappointed in you. He expected
should
you to
be.
carry him.
Well, he should be disappointed.
Hey, when it was Jeff and I as a team, we did give you that one nice slob, and you're
We've already talked about how bad I was at overheads. I know. I just
Scott, we won. Scott, you and I beat them, right? I mean, we beat them 2 out of 3. So clearly the weak link in this was clear as day because everybody who played with Hummel lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Robbie, is your arm sore from the swing you had on that? Robbie, he
when
wound
I
up
whiffed,
like he was.
I wanted to take Jeff's head off. That was the goal, and that's probably where I went wrong. That's where I really.
I didn't
really
actually go after you that hard. I didn't try to. I don't think you set me up with too many slams. Actually, I was.
But the one time you hit it off the wall because you were trying to hit it at me.
That is true. All right, Scott, go get some more players.
Yeah,
we appreciate
thanks.
the cameo.
Thanks, Scott.
Appreciate you guys. Take care.
We'll
See you,
talk soon.
Thanks
All right,
for coming
there he
in.
is. The witness to the massacre.
Why don't we get Bill Greer on now? Why don't we have him zoom
We could try, but I just wanted one witness to the massacre. That's all it is.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today. College basketball fans, are you ready to take your hoops game to a new level? Whether you're a seasoned bettor or just trying to win your March Madness office pool, Rhythm is here to give you the edge this season. With data-driven predictions for every single college basketball game left on the schedule, Rhythm helps you maximize your bets. And as March Madness kicks off, Rhythm's insights will help you spot those plucky Cinderellas that you know are going to shake up the NCAA tournament. But that's not all. When Selection Sunday rolls around, let Rhythm's AI-powered bracket generator do the heavy lifting for you. This is the same AI tool that performed 35% better than the average ESPN bracket last year. And here's the best part. Rhythm pairs perfectly with our Field of 68 expert analysis, giving you the 1-2 punch that you need for the rest of the college basketball season. So don't wait. Download Rhythm today and get ready to see college basketball and your betting results in a whole new light.
All right. Speaking of witnesses, we were both witness to an unbelievable few days of basketball.
Great segue, dude. You're the best at segue.
I
That was
mean,
well done.
They were unbelievable games.
They were.
Think about
Yes.
it. Like the comebacks in this Final Four, I would say, again, we had the buildup, 4 number 1 seeds, San Antonio, anybody can win this thing, and it lived up to the hype, which it generally does not do, Rob.
Yeah. No, the games were amazing. That was my first Final Four of getting to actually announce the games, and I thought this on Monday night. It's going to be really, really hard to top that, right? Like to top those three games, and just like I know that people like the upsets, and I do too. I come from, I think, a place of rooting for a mid-major growing up, so I have a soft spot for that. But I guess the positive of them not being that is that when you get to the Final Four, and this was talked about a lot, you get some high level, in terms of I was doing some prep for the Crown,
Yeah.
because I did the Crown, and then I was doing my stuff for the Final Four, obviously. And when you looked at the difference in teams, and it's like it's
Night
just
and day.
like two different
Yeah.
entities, and that's no disrespect to the Crown or the teams that were there. It's just that Duke, Houston, Florida, Auburn, those teams are on a different level of talent, of the players they have, of the way they play. It's just athleticism wise, it really is remarkable when you see those four teams, what they look like.
Right.
And it was three great games, unbelievable comebacks, unbelievable players. I mean, the All-Americans that you've got on the floor there, that totally lives up to every bit of hype that you could ever want to see.
All right. So can I go back to the Duke Houston game? Because a lot of people, they want to put the blame on Shire and Duke. They kind of took the air out of the ball. They were up 14 with whatever it was, 8 minutes left.
Yeah.
They blew it.
Boy, they're up like 8 with a minute and a half to go.
Exactly. I mean, they had this game. Like, I don't think at any point until they cut it to 3, I ever thought Houston was going to win this game. They're chipping away, but I still felt like,
well,
whatever.
You'd say, Jeff, 15 things had to go wrong consecutively, and they did.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what had to happen.
So how do you, as a former player, how do you explain this thing? Because you've been probably on both ends of it to some extent, maybe not to that extent, the magnitude or even the number, but you've been on sides where you've pissed it away. You've been on sides where the other team has pissed it away. How do you try to describe what happened there, and if you want to lay the blame game?
Well, John Shire's not missing foul shots. He's not turning it over. He's, like I understand where the coach does ultimately take the blame, but if you've found yourself in a position to win the game up 8 with a minute and a half to go, and you just got to be solid. You've got to take care of it. You've got to make your free throws. You've got to execute. And they, it felt like when Houston was pressing Duke, it felt like it was when the JV used to press the varsity and they'd have like 9 guys out there. I mean, it just felt like there was nowhere to go. And that's where, maybe, I guess, if you wanted to, and I don't blame John, I really don't. But if you're looking at somewhere, if you want to have some guts, you go long. I've seen some plays where it's like, all right, well, if you're going to just overload at the front, well, then we're going to run like a wheel route type play. And there's some risk to that.
Yep.
But, like when everyone's selling out at the basketball, maybe you need to get some sort of pressure release like that. But again, that's Monday morning quarterback stuff, like that's really hard to say now. They had a phenomenal year, and Houston is really, really good. And the things that Duke was struggling with Houston, everyone does. Taking care of the ball and rebounding, So I don't blame John Shire at all. I think at that point in the game, you found yourself in a spot to win. You need to go out there and make a few more plays. And even the last shot for Cooper Flag, some people said it was not. I mean,
good shot.
That's a generational talent that can make that shot. I have no problem with that. Like I don't know.
The only thing I'd say, Rob, and again, it's obviously Monday morning quarterback, but the only thing I'd say to it is, I wish Duke had a real point guard out there at the end.
Yeah, but that's not even, so who would you throw out there then?
They don't have one. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, who's the kid that comes off the bench? I forgot his name. It's Caleb Foster.
He's not a point guard.
But isn't he the closest thing to it?
Yeah, Cooper was kind of their de facto point guard, right, for most of the year, but Proctor's not really a point guard. Malik Brown's kind of played the point at times, almost like as a point forward. Caleb Foster's more 2 than 1. I wish they had somebody that you trusted, somebody else that you could have just given the ball to that would have been solid with it, would have gotten fouled, would have went to the line. I mean, listen, Proctor had a great tournament.
He did not play well.
No, and he missed the front end of the one-on-one. That would have put it away. That would have been it.
Yeah, and honestly, if he does make that, we're not even talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing where the guys have to make plays at that point in the game.
Yeah, so Houston wins that one, and then it kind of comes back to bite them in the ass in the championship game because they have that thing won, and Florida comes back and wins it. Man, the year Florida had is crazy. I mean, if you think about it, you're looking at three mid-major guards, and
Walter studs, three old studs, like those dudes.
Yeah, that's part of it, right? Get older. We said this for years now, probably since Villanova won it all. The first time is like get old and stay old. And Florida did that for the most part, especially with their perimeter trio. And Walter Clayton struggled, man. First half, he couldn't make a shot.
He was also taking awful shots in the first half. I don't know what that's like the ultimate confidence of riding this wave that you're on. But yeah, he took some really, really bad shots in the first half.
But they stayed in it. Like, I thought when they went into the break down 3, I was like, holy shit. Like, how are they only down 3? And I'm sure Todd Golden was probably saying the same thing. I had nothing out of Clayton, 0 points, 2 out of Elijah Martin.
Will Richard was amazing.
He kept him in it. He kept him in that game. Without him, they might have been down 15 points, and there's no way they come back. But Houston, man, they had this one again, just like Duke did. They kind of had it in their hands, and it slipped away. What were your emotions when the game ended? Because for me, it was just like, and I remember talking to Walter Clayton on the court, and he was like, I didn't know the game was over. Like, it was just that scramble where you didn't know the game. He thought there was still 6 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah. Oh, it was an incredible play by Walter Clayton, because that's going to be an open 3 for Emmanuel Sharp. Like that, he comes from like the block to contest that shot. And, credit Florida for kind of blowing up the rescreen initially at the top of the key and then making them get to the next action. And Walter Clayton makes one more play in a scramble type situation. But yeah, was it Hauk that dove on it, or was it Condon, or I'm trying to remember who it was.
Condon, maybe?
I think it was Condon, who actually played as well as he's played in quite some time, because he looked so unconfident in the Auburn game. Like he has been Space Jammed. Yep. Like the Monstars took his abilities. He just looked like he was lost out there. And he really gave Florida something as well. Like Will Richard was the story in the first half, but Alex Condon did some good things too. And then had like I said, his best game in quite some time. Yeah, really an incredible year for Florida. I felt like I didn't feel surprised that the game had ended. I don't recall feeling that, but just amazed at the effort plays that Florida made there was really high level stuff. And look, they passed the airport test. I mean, they have bigs on top of bigs on top of bigs, and those 3 guards that are really good. And I will say, Elijah Martin, when you see him in person, if you've watched him on tape, and I felt this way about him at FAU as well, and for the Final Four when they were there, I was up in a suite doing something so I was way up high. We were doing something for Turner, and when you see him, you're like, man, he looks like he's like 6'5" on tape, because he's jacked.
No, he's
only like 6'2", but he is.
They both are. Clayton
Yeah.
and Martin are both like 6'2", 6'3". They're
But
not.
You know what I'll say about Walter Clayton, and I thought this really showed in the Auburn game. Even though he's not big, his burst and his ability to attack the rim and the fearlessness that he does it with, he's going to have a chance, because like he just doesn't, a lot of times you see small guards and you're like, well, they're going to get swallowed up. But Auburn blocks as many shots as anybody, and he's taking those dudes on at the rim. I was pretty impressed with that. I know he didn't play well in the last game, but obviously in the Auburn game, he was special.
So do you think, watching Todd Golden in this, obviously you got a title at 39 years old.
Yeah, unbelievable, right?
39 years old. I mean, think about that. Youngest coach to win a title since Jimmy Valvano in '85, which is just bananas to me. What does the future hold, do you think, for Todd Golden? Do you think he's at Florida long term? Do you think he's a guy that, he
I don't see why you wouldn't be, because of Florida's history, because of the league they play
what
in
about
the
NBA?
SEC.
What about NBA, Rob? Because he's
that would all be a personal preference.
Yeah.
Is that something you want to do? And maybe it is. I don't know him really. I met him for the first time when they won the title. So
I just think it's hard. Here's what I think
how much does he yell at the guys?
How much what?
How much does he yell at the guys? Like, is he a big yeller?
No, not really. Not really.
Yeah.
So I think his ego could handle it easy.
I don't even mean by ego. I just mean like style.
Yeah, he's not.
When
he's
Hurley
not
was talking about going to the league,
right?
Yeah, like for Danny Hurley, you'd say, well, he's got to change.
He's not like that.
He can't do that.
Not even close. Not even close to that. I think he's young. I just don't know how that works, right? It's got to be the right team in the NBA to be able to take on a college guy.
Also, wouldn't you think? Now, granted, if you're hiring a college coach, you're probably saying we're going to give him some time, but if I'm a college coach, I'm watching what's happening with the Phoenix Suns. And maybe I'm more hypersensitive to this because my roommate from college he got fired with Frank Vogel there after 1 year.
Yeah.
And then they just did it again with Mike Budenholzer. So like some of the, the job security in college isn't amazing, but it's better than what the NBA is. Yeah. So
especially when you want a title.
Now, granted, you still get paid as the head coach. So it's like once you sign that, but I just think why leave Florida? You're in the SEC.
Well,
you've
because
got
of
the football money.
Well, it's just, do you have enough? Do you have it's all going to depend on, Florida right now is not one of those
I guess
schools.
You do compete with football in the sense of like rev share
yes.
and resource wise, but they're also putting 90,000 people in the swamp. So like you're generating revenue. I don't know.
But you
the
want
NBA,
that program.
Maybe, but...
you want that football program to be good again. It hasn't been, right? So now, if you're Scott Strickland, their AD, yeah, you're going to put resources into basketball for sure. But are you going to put as much in as, say, a Texas Tech, as a Auburn? Like those schools, I counted.
But Auburn, wouldn't you argue the same thing? Their football team's not nearly what it was.
Right.
10
No,
years
agreed. I think they got 10 million, though. I think there's somewhere between 15 and 20 schools that this year, and again, it's going to change next year, but this year have 10 million plus to work with NIL. Florida will not be one of them, in my opinion. I'd be surprised. Could they get there? Yeah, maybe. Now you want a title, you might be able to raise some more money. A Chandler Parsons or something like that may give a little bit more.
How wild that Chandler could be like the benefactor that just puts Florida over the top.
He won't.
He's come a long way from
he's made a lot of money.
2005 Nike Team Florida squad. That's
a lot of money. A lot of money.
He has made a lot of money.
Nick Calathis has probably made a lot of money overseas.
He has. Right? Not as much as Chandler, but
no.
Nick has done really well too.
I felt bad when the whole thing ended, Rob, and celebration, and I'm trying to interview Elijah Martin and some of those guys, and then it hit me when they left the court. It hit me of like Kelvin Sampson.
No, and you know what? I think that it hit me when the buzzer went off, because you see the euphoria for Florida, but you see just how soul crushing it is for the Houston kids. And I think anybody that's lost in the NCAA tournament knows that feeling. And granted, it's probably magnified when you get to that level because you're playing for the national title, but it's also the realization that your season is over and you're never going to play with some of these guys ever again. And like when you make it that far, it's just the bond that you have with that group. And I think Houston had an incredibly tight-knit team. But the thing that I always come back to is it wouldn't feel that good to win if it didn't hurt that bad to lose.
True.
And, for everybody that's had the chance to play in the tournament and experience both sides of that coin, it is a powerful feeling. Like you feel so good when you win a big game in the NCAA tournament, and you feel like the world is literally going to end when you lose. And that's not even, don't even come from a place of playing in the national title game. So I get it. But you could see it so clearly. Florida is celebrating like crazy, and they should. and the Houston kids are devastated. That's always kind of hard to watch.
I mean, you felt like the world was ending when you lost last week in pickleball. So
it still does, actually. Luckily, I got to go to the Masters and play Eastlake to make me feel better. Thank God for that. That's all I had.
All right, couple more things I want to hit on. Did you see the tweet that I put out there with? I polled about 20 coaches.
No, I actually blocked you after the pickleball. What did the tweet say?
Move.
What did the tweet say?
So I tweeted out, basically I polled coaches and I tweeted out the range of some of these players and what they're making right now. Okay, so like, you know, for instance, it was I'm trying to find it right now. So here it is. Projected elite guys. So the top 10 to 15 players overall in college basketball this year. Take a guess what the range is that they're going to earn this year, according to these coaches.
This is the elite players?
Yeah, like JT Toppin, you know, that level.
I mean, I saw someone he's making $4 million, so 2 to 4 million.
2.5 to 4 million. 2.5 to 4 million. The projected all league guys, Rob. So that would have been you. That would have been you playing. I'm not putting you in the elite category, top 10, top 15 players in the
Dang, I was second team All-American.
I know. All right, fine. You're close. You were close. But your knee gave a lot of people pause. They wouldn't have paid you.
That limited my earning power.
Exactly, yes. So projected all league player, what's the range?
Probably like 1.5 to 2.5.
There you go. Yeah, you got it. Starters, projected starter on a high major team.
See, I've heard that like starters are getting like 800.
500 to 1.5 million. And then a bench player for a high major, Rob, 200 grand to 700 grand.
Yeah.
So what's your take? What's your take when you hear this? As a former player who was a, you know, all-American caliber player, I hate saying that about you, but you are. What is your take when you hear these numbers right now?
Well, it makes me want to vomit. And look, I'm happy the players are making money. I am. It was just so absurd the way that they were not allowing guys to do it back then. You know, they sell your jersey, 33 Purdue. No, it's not each one more. It's a coincidence. Really. It's a coincidence that it's 4, 30, 33, and 25 and 3. You know, like just some of the easy things that could have been done. You know, it should have been, NIL shouldn't have been an issue. You can have a basketball camp. You know, it's branded with you know, stuff from your school. You can do things, although maybe they don't even still let that happen. My point is, if you could get a deal with the local car dealership, who cares? If you could get a deal at the sandwich shop or the pizza place or a local business, that should have been good for you.
Yep.
You know, if we're selling jerseys, you get a cut.
How many people were really getting it, right? Not a ton. Let's be honest. Getting those deals.
Well, you couldn't. So
I'm saying how many people would have gotten it, though?
Oh, I mean,
not that.
I think that you would have been able to have some money.
Yeah.
Like you weren't able to. We couldn't get cream cheese on our bagels, Jeff. I got 12 grand for being in a video game for 3 years. You know, like, and I'm very appreciative of the scholarship aspect. I know a lot of people that have student loans, but you know, I think the kid from Villanova that's suing the NCAA, Chris Jenkins, he has a hell of a case, like an unbelievable case. Or the NC State guys, that shot has been used on every replay and everything for the NCAA tournament for the NCAA forever. So I just, you know, I think about some of the guys that you play with that, you know, I was lucky. My parents, they gave me a credit card and I was allowed to use it some. Like if I needed to do something, I could do that. But I had some teammates that didn't have that, you know, and like I think watching the Arizona State point shaving Netflix documentary is very interesting because
they had nothing.
They didn't have anything. So when somebody says, hey, just win by 7 instead of 10, and I'll pay you $10,000 or $20,000, and they have nothing, you kind of feel bad, you know, like it's a bad decision. No question about that. But like you can see where their mindset was when the guy's saying, well, I couldn't take a girl on a date. I didn't have any gear except for my team gear. Like there's just some things that are like, this is so wrong. And, I don't know. I'm happy the players are getting paid. I think this is so out of control. And I don't think this is what it was supposed to be, but this is where we're at. And, it's comical to me that I had a teammate that got a haircut and it was for free. And, they basically told him, because someone told on him, if you don't pay for that and make a donation to a charity, you could be ineligible for a haircut. They buzzed his head for what's $8.
Insane.
It's just like, who really this is bullshit for? Terrell Pryor, the football player.
I can't remember. What was Pryor's deal?
He sold his Big Ten championship rings for tattoos. And they made it sound like he was a felon. Like they literally banned him. It's just a joke is what it is. It's a total joke. And it has swung from you can't make any money to now it's like free game.
And this year will be.
This is the best year ever for any student athlete to get paid because rev share goes into effect.
Right. So they're trying to get the money again. We've talked about
front
loaded.
You get front loaded, so you get your collective money on the front and your rev share on the back.
Right.
I don't know. It's just the NCAA. Shame on them, man. There's so many kids that their lives could be different because this is their max earning time, and now look at if you could have made, let's say, $1 million as a college player. If you're a good college player that doesn't end up being a good pro, but dude, like you could buy a house. Now, granted, you have to save the money, but you could set yourself up to be like, house is paid for, investments are here. I am in a good spot to start my life, whereas there's a lot of guys that.
Well, think about it, Rob.
Let me finish really. Or go ahead.
The JT Toppin's going to make about $4 million, right? It's been reported, and the last pick in the first round is like $2 million. It's like $2 million right now. Now it's obviously a guaranteed 3-year deal, but still, I mean, it's the one benefit, right? The one benefit of all this for college.
Well, it keeps good players in college.
It keeps you good players. If you're a lottery pick, you're still going. But if you're
a late first round, you have a decision to make.
And a lot of kids, they have that range where it's 25 to 45.
Yeah.
And if you're 25 to 45 right now, to this year, you should absolutely stay in school.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's just, but there's a lot of kids that didn't have great pro careers, and they could have been set for the foreseeable future. I also look at this as this. What is going to happen? So my rookie year in Spain, I had been drafted by the Timberwolves. I went overseas to play. I didn't make a crazy amount of money my first year, but I made good money, But if I'd been making $1 million a year at Purdue, and then I got what I was getting in Spain,
you'd be pissed.
I've been like, I'm not doing this. I'm not putting the baskets up and taking them down.
Right.
I'm not, washing my own practice laundry.
You were grateful.
I was happy to be making it. I was like, I'm making 6 figures. This is amazing. And it's fairly,
but you could be going. You're telling me there are certain kids that could be making $3 million this year.
And could literally be making 200,000 next year.
Maybe less.
Even less. Yes, no question. I think that if you get drafted and go overseas, you will make, 150, 200, around that range.
It's crazy.
If you didn't get drafted, you could very well be a very good college player and making 90 after you were making $1.5 million for being a starter.
You hope the agents are educating these guys on, hey, listen, save your money because probably not going to ever make this money again.
Yeah. And that's kind of a sad thought for a lot of this, that, your max earning is at 22.
I don't think it's sad. I think
I think it is for those that are going forward that are thinking, well, this is just going to be the way that it is. Sure. And now you've got 65 years. I know. Hopefully, like that.
But hopefully somebody is there around him, and I don't know if there is.
Who, dude? Like
part of the problem.
That's part of the issue here. I
Because
did
a lot of the
game.
agents, Rob, my problem is a lot of these agents have a ton of players. They're just doing it for now. These players are worth something to them.
Yeah.
So they're not, the investment isn't the same about these kids' future and trying to educate them and trying to say to them, hey, listen, you know what? I'm going to get you 1.5. We just got you a deal for 1.5, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to put $1 million of that into a money market right now.
But Jeff, that's not even the right math. If you're making $1.5 million,
you're not getting that.
You're not getting $1 million.
You're not getting that. Okay,
like,
so
you're
500 grand.
pocketing 800,
So we'll
750.
put 500 grand into a money market that you can't touch for the next 5 years.
But that's not what those dudes want. And here's a good example. I was doing a game for a team this year, and they talked about how they had a player they were paying like $400,000 or $500,000. So, agents taking what, 20% is the rate, which is nuts.
Some are, and that's an
10,
number.
10, 20%, whatever. Like, it's around that range. So you're giving up that. So let's say if it's 500 to make the math easy, you've got 50,000 going to the agent right away. If it's 500 grand, let's say you're pocketing 300. And this dude had bought a $150,000 Mercedes. And I'm like, dude, well, he doesn't have that much money left now, like it just is. It's honestly crazy. And I hope that the education is there. I hope that the tax knowledge is being shared. I hope I just hope that all of this stuff is being taught, but I have real high doubts on that. We need a course for all student athletes life class, taxes, credit cards, investments, all this stuff. Like it should be mandatory.
Problem is they don't know who to listen to. They listen to whatever agent's hitting them up, and they're choosing between 3 agents, and they don't know how good these agents are because how would you know? They're not asking around.
Right.
All right.
Crazy.
Let's close on the Nike Hoop Summit, which you went to after the Final Four. I can't believe you actually continued to work. Shocking.
I had a good week. I was at the Final Four, and then I was at the Masters, and then I was at Eastlake, and then I was at the
But you went to the practice round of the Why didn't you go to Thursday's Masters?
I went to Wednesday.
But why not Thursday when they actually played?
I was offered the tickets for Wednesday. The practice rounds are fun because they're relaxed. They have the par 3 on Wednesday.
Okay.
We had Berkman's Place passes, so Lynn Swan greeted us at the door, which is nice.
You knew who Lynn Swan was. Shocking.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Great, big time on TV, and he was great in the Water Boy.
Who was his wide receiver mate? Who was the other wide receiver on the Steelers with Lynn Swan? It's before your time. John Stallworth was his name.
Really good. Say Franco Harris, but he played.
He played well. Yes, he was on the Steelers too. He was not a wide receiver.
He was defense. No,
he was a running back. You dumbass.
Really?
Yes, Franco Harris was a running back.
I thought he was like a defensive end.
Mac Lambert was a defense. He was a linebacker.
He wasn't part of the Steel Curtain.
Jack Lambert was. Yes.
There you go. I just got him mixed up. My bad.
Anyway.
But yeah, the Hoop Summit was that's an awesome event. It has been for a long time. When you see who's played in that game of MVPs, All-Stars, top players in their class.
So who blew you away? What incoming freshmen? Because this is a pretty good class coming in.
It's a loaded class.
I mean, you've got the guys that have gotten the most attention are AJ DeMonza, who's going to BYU.
He is insanely talented.
So he was there, right? He was there.
Yeah, he played really well.
And you had, obviously, the Boozers. Were they there?
Yep.
Cameron
they were
and
there.
Caden?
Yeah, Cam was awesome. And Caden, you can see why he's a winning player and whatnot.
They never lose. Those two never lose.
Cam Boozer is probably, and I guess Caden would be right there with him because he's won the same games that Cam has, but they're as accomplished as probably any high school player of all time.
Right.
Yeah. So
they never lose. And then you didn't see Darren Peterson did not show up.
No, he didn't play. Yeah.
Was Nate Ament there?
He was, and he kind of was. And I've seen him before at the Under Armour game. Really talented, but just I wanted him to come out and take 10 shots. And he took 6 shots in the McDonald's game. I don't know if he even took 2.
Really?
I'm not sure that he scored, honestly.
Wow. But he's got a Kevin Durant body. correct?
Yes, like 6'9", 6'10",
Long.
really skinny, really skinny, very skilled. He was kind of a non-factor. Yeah, he didn't. But I know that feeling of being in an all-star game, not that level of one, but playing in an all-star setting and being like, dude, I didn't get any chances. And look, he was in the starting five with, I believe it was Darius Acuff, Michael Brown, AJ DiBonsa, and Cam Boozer. So shots are going to be, I mean, the talent in that five
insane.
is off the charts. And Michael Brown didn't play all that well. He got to the
didn't?
line a bunch, but he
Really?
didn't. And Acuff had a good second half, but not a great first half.
So who's the guy? Who's the guy that you were the most impressed with out there?
Well, I mean, DiBonsa and Boozer for sure. But honestly, I think it'd have to be Tunde Yesufu. Scott Drew's guy.
Wow.
Look at you, dude. You're not even locked in. You don't even know who Tunde Yesufu is?
I know the name, but I don't know if I've seen it.
He was awesome. He guarded DiBonsa in the first half and did a pretty good job.
Strong.
Yeah, he's built like honestly like Anthony Edwards.
That's right. Okay.
Gets to the rim, beast in transition, broke DeMarcus Nelson's scoring record in California.
Really?
Averaged 28 a game.
Wow.
But he was making mid-range and getting to the rim.
Can he shoot?
Developing, but he made the mid-range shots. I don't know if he made a three.
So he'll be an impact guy next year.
I really like it. Hamenya for Duke played well. He's like a point forward kind of a fun player. Trey McKinney going to Michigan played really well.
Did he?
Like 6'4", 225, big guard. Big guard. It was interesting watching some of the Team World guys because of the way that recruitment is now. Like David Mirkovic is going to Illinois.
Yeah.
Omer Meyer maybe is going to Purdue or somewhere else. Like Eric Ryba how do you say his last name? Ryba or Rybe?
I think it's Ryba.
I thought it was Ryba too, but then we were told Rybe. But he's going to UConn. Sean Abayev can really score. He's going to Cincinnati. And then was pretty impressive was Taj Ariza, Trevor Ariza's son.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I saw him. I think I saw
like
him
6'8", 6'9", can play pick and roll.
I mean,
the game was close, went to overtime. So
the top guys are going to be fun. I mean, again, DiBonsa is going to,
I mean, he has the ability of he's probably as good of a prospect as anybody since LeBron.
Yeah, the highest upside. Comes from Brockton, Massachusetts.
How far is that from Boston?
From Boston, only like 20 minutes. It's the home of two of the most famous boxers of all time.
Mike Tyson?
No. Try again.
George Foreman?
No.
Muhammad Ali?
Rocky Marciano.
Muhammad Ali is the most famous boxer.
I'm not saying he's not the most famous. I'm saying Rocky Marciano, I think, retired undefeated. And then Marvelous Marvin Hagler, who you never heard of.
I know. I've heard of him because of what was that? It was a sports documentary where they were talking about. Oh, it was the Jimmy Connors 30 for 30, where his run at the U.S. Open, and they're talking about the difference between Jimmy Connors and I believe it was maybe John McEnroe, but they compare one of them to Marvin Hagler because they hate the crowd.
It was like Hagler and probably Roberto Duran or Tommy Hearns. They were probably talking about
Muhammad Ali is more famous than all of them. And
I'm not saying he's not.
Iron Mike Tyson is
nobody's fighting you on this. I'm saying two of the most famous fighters of all time.
See, I hate you so much for the pickleball that I'm willing to argue with you on anything. I think that's what it is.
Absolutely anything right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. So when are the contract negotiations going to start? How is this going to go?
I'm gonna be an alpha on this one. I'll call you. I'll call you.
I think so. That's how this is going to work.
But just don't text me the whole summer. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want anything.
Wow, you're starting your training regimen here? You don't want you don't want a rematch at some point in the summer.
When will I see you?
I don't know.
When am I going to come to Charleston to play pickleball? I'm going to get I'm going to get a different racket though. I'm going to tell you that. That thing is old and I think that played a part.
I don't think it's going to matter. I think honestly, now I go in with all the confidence in the world.
I
Like,
will say this though: if we do play pickleball this summer somehow, and I win, we will do a pod. We'll do a podcast then.
whoa, so we'll only do one more pod if you win.
We might do. Here's the problem. Here's the real issue with the pod. We started this to do a national podcast, right? Like, and I think that's what we wanted this to be. But the problem with my schedule is I just don't get to watch that much Big 12, SEC, ACC because I do all Big 10
You feel guilty.
and Big East. And
You
I
feel a
don't
little
feel like I can even talk about those teams well, like that. That's really more of where the problem is here. Now, I guess we could rebrand and be a Big East, Big 10 podcast, but I don't know necessarily where.
Could we bring in, and this is for the audience too, could we bring in a third person? You know how like Doster has Doster, Tio, and Fana. They have a 3-man pod. That way, if you are busy or we are talking about topics that you haven't seen, we can go to the third person, and you could take a week off too if your schedule doesn't allow you to be able to do it.
I'm just only coming on like once every 4 weeks.
No, you come on like 2 out of every 3.
No, I would be up for that. It would need to be somebody that obviously we both want to do it with, and
we'd have to find somebody that's plugged into like either everything or plugged into like SEC, ACC, Big 12, like a couple of those.
Yeah. And granted, I'm not totally sure of where I'll be, working next year, so I don't know what I'll be covering. So
you might be fired. What you're saying is you might be cut loose.
I could be very free. Yeah, maybe nobody wants me to work for them. I don't know.
Well, if you are, I know what you shouldn't do is join the pickleball tour. I know that should not be an option for you. Unless
you make it sound like I hit no good shots. I just didn't play as well as I am capable.
I mean, I will say this. I was not scared of hitting the ball at you at all. At all. Like if there was a question of hitting it at you
saying that, I'm going to drive myself this summer now. That was infuriating.
If it was hitting it at you or your partner, whether it was Scott Drew or Bill Greer, I was hitting at you.
But you didn't all the time.
I hit it at your backhand. I kept hitting it in the corner at you and your backhand.
No, you didn't. You're giving yourself way too much credit here. Like you can pinpoint shots on the court. You're not capable of that.
Oh,
you were hitting it to both people.
And then I will say, you called me. You were very upset. We'll end with this. You were very upset. You wanted to play singles on, was that Monday?
I did want to play singles
Monday?
On Monday morning, yeah.
On Monday morning, you wanted to play singles. Rematch. And I called you late Sunday night. You didn't pick up.
I know, but I fell asleep, dude. I was so tired.
And then I said, I'm like, I got a little bit of a window here on Monday in the afternoon, and you told me I can't do it. Can't do it.
Yeah, I was doing the game.
All right. Well, you'd already seen those teams. I mean, I had a window early afternoon.
You know what professionals do? They literally prepare for the game.
That's I think, honestly, I think you were scared of getting smoked in singles because there would have been no excuse.
Dude, I had to go to the stadium. We had a 3-hour pregame show.
Do you really think you could have beaten me in singles?
Yes, I do.
You really believe that? Honestly, yes. Be honest.
I honestly believe I would have beat you in singles. You leaned on your partner. You've hyped your performance into like oblivion here of like you were Pete Sampras out there. You made some nice shots, okay? But yes, I could have beat you in singles.
No chance.
You know what? We're gonna play again. I'm gonna have one of my dad's souped up rackets, so I'm hitting this topspin shot like crazy.
Hey, we'll
take footage. That's fine.
We will put it on video,
and we'll negotiate whether we have a podcast going forward.
All right. There you have it. Goodman and Hummel season-ending pod. Thanks for coming along for the ride all year. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And hopefully we'll be back. I don't know. I mean, it all depends on contract negotiations. And Doster can be tough to negotiate with, I'll say that.
Doster needs to quit hoarding the money. I think that's what he's doing.
Well, that's for damn sure. All right. We'll see you
and
next
the
season.
Pizza. The money and the pizza is what he's hoarding.
Maybe we'll do a couple in the off season. We'll see. We'll see how Rob's doing here and what's going on. Maybe we'll do a pre-draft one.